I think for me, as I said, diversity, I always have to see diversity among senior leadership. You cannot write, most of our policies that have been written by someone who is white, who is not of an ethnic background, who doesn't understand. And I put something out on Twitter the other day. I want to see action. I don't want to hear no words. I want you to include me. I want to work with you. I honestly do. But I cannot work with you if you cannot hear me and hear what I'm saying, include it in whatever it is that you want to do, and we work together. Because at the end of the day, we all have the same end vision. But it's how do we get there? We need to be able to get there together. Action. Action, action, action. And I know for us, after this all dies down, we're all going to go back. But how are you going to implement that action into your wherever it is that you do? Are you going to be the one carrying the flag to say, you know what, George, let's get this pushing. What do you think on this? Because at the end of the day, we're going to continue to suffer.
Does someone need to look like you to be able to understand your experience? Do you think the person has to be Black to speak to the Black experience? Do you think it's possible that someone cannot be from where you're from?
They don't have to be
look
Black.
Like who you look like.
I don't think
they'll still be able to speak to your experience properly.
I don't think they can fully understand you, but they can hear you and listen to you.
I think one short of an ethnic, and I know I hate the term BAME, but BAME, Black, Asian. I know Stephanie's going to be like, I hate it.
I struggle with it as well.
Yeah. There's so many different ethnicities. We live in London. London's diverse and so forth. You don't have to look like me. You don't have to have the same skin color as me. But I want someone who has a cultural awareness, to understand. Someone who understands, okay, this is what's happened. This is what needs to change and so forth. I cannot stand people who are not willing to accept that this is everyday life.
But if you're saying that, then what's the issue with, if you're saying that, then why do you need your some SLT to be Black? So I think for some of that, and in some cases, yes, I need you to just be able to empathize. But in some cases, I need the uptakes. You need to have physical representation. One, because I remember when I first went into the school, it's so I always say I'm not racist, I'm racialist. Like, race is relevant to me. It's always on my mind. I see it through everything. But I remember thinking, we are always taking information. We're always processing something. And it's not always what's being said. We're still processing things we see. Visuals matter. Going into a school and seeing heads or seeing leadership that looks like you matters. So what happens in most schools is, and I think it's changing a little bit now, especially in London, most of the teachers are white. Why am I back in education? I said I'm not talking about education again. Most of the teachers are white, and most of the support staff are Black. So when I ask, does it matter if the person looks? Yes, it matters. You need to. It needs to look. But also, I think to some degree, even if it's not either or, actually, it's both. And yes, I want to see people that look like me in senior leadership. Yes, I want to see visual representations of not just my color, but my culture. But I also want you, who is working alongside me and people like me, to still understand. So because you hire Black or you hire someone from a minority ethnic group, doesn't mean that you've ticked the box and it's done. Because sometimes I think that's what happens when it comes to inclusion. Because you have a Black person there, you think, okay, my culture is diverse. And because you've ticked that box, you feel as if the representation of the culture is there and the experience is there, and it doesn't. Jodie, you were saying something.
I think that I was going to say that, like, the way that I see it is that...
What's happened?
Think your son.
Thinking.
I was just trying to give this boy the look. That, like, for me, when I say that we've got to take accountability, like you said, Stephanie, we need to start controlling our narrative more. And I think a lot of the times we say all the same things that we've been told, we project them, and then we just keep on doing it over and over again. It's cyclical. For me, like when I got into plus size modeling, this is one of the ways that I'm able to articulate what I'm feeling about race through my journey with the world and acceptance and plus size, whatever, because it was a whole journey. And when I decided that I was going to take responsibility for the way how I told my story, then I had to do everything. And so you almost have to be prepared to take on the burden every single day that this is my job, even though sometimes it feels like it shouldn't be your job. These people should already know. These people should be aware of the little intricacies about our experiences, because we've had to tell them so many times before. But the reality of the situation is we can never guarantee that. So I have to make it a point of my duty to be an activist even when I don't want to. So if I walk into a room and I can see that somebody's being prejudiced or making a joke about, I don't know, Muslim women and them wearing their hijab or whatever, I have an opportunity there to say, do you realize what you've just said? If you haven't realized, then boy, you know what I'm saying? Like, I hold people accountable in the same way that I'm holding myself accountable. So if people jump on the bandwagon thing and they think, all right, cool, we're going to just say we believe in this because everybody's doing it right now. And then tutus now, when you look back, you see that they haven't really put any work into what they said they were going to do. We can hold them accountable. We can say, well, you was doing all of this, but now you're not doing anything. And that's one way that you can control your own narrative. The only thing that I think we need to take on board is that no matter how much we want this world to be how we want this world to be, we can't make that. We can only create it to an extent in our own spaces. But every time we go out of our own spaces, we're going to have to be prepared to create it again. And I think that once we get to that stage, it becomes less of a struggle because you're not fighting internally with yourself as well. So you're able to put more energy into what you need to do outside. I personally, for me, that's where I am right now.
Okay.
I mean, don't get it twisted. For me, oh, sorry, Stephanie.
No, go on, Nat. Go on, babe.
Like, for me, I mean, everything I ever have done is about the right thing. It's just in my personal life. So, since education, working in education, I see my black children. I always have done, and I've seen the negativity. Understand? Like, I'm just one person in the school sometimes, and then if they don't see that, we can't, no matter what we say, you can do it, they don't see it. It's not their reality. So we have to make sure that we keep creating that reality. So we can't have a full white school. I know of in Southwark where it's a predominantly black and Spanish school and all of those head staff are all white. And then all of the teaching assistants are black. But on your picture, when you walk in and you see the adults in that school, they're all white. When I go in there, it makes me so sad. Not to mention that the school is in a very impoverished area in the borough. Does that make sense? So now I feel sad because I walk around thinking those people knowing that when I leave that school after I've done a session, they have no clue. They have no clue about the culture. They have no clue about the children, where they're coming from, the struggles. That makes me sad. They jump on their train and go to Cambridge home. Get what I mean? And I look at my son. My son has actually said to me, there's only one black male teacher in his school who he absolutely loves, the only one, yeah? And he says, I wish there was more black people in my school. You know what I mean? He says that to me.
Because sorry to cut you, Natalie, we take the time to find out and know we've been through certain things. We get it. I've worked with people and like, oh, I just don't understand. They're just acting up, blah, 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 this and that, X, Y, Z. I'm like, there could be certain reasons why that person is doing what they're doing. Have you actually taken the time to get to know them? It's not always
I remember a conversation I had with a child that didn't want to wear shorts, left his PE kit at home and didn't want to wear the shorts that the school gave him. When I understood that we grew up, don't go and wear the school's PE kit. That was just a number one. It was just that, yeah? And the teacher's going, no, you need to wear it. And the child was getting angry, tears. Because he knew that he was going to get in trouble with his mum because he didn't have his PE kit and he had to wear these shorts that he probably was told that you don't go and wear other people's things. And two, his legs were dry. He never had no cream. Did you get what I'm saying? And it sounds so silly. It's those little things that if you don't notice, it means a lot, you know. And if you have not got that to relate with, that, wow, I've lost my coat, and my mum's going to be cross with me because I lost my coat. Because you know what, we're not going straight home after school and it's raining. Do you know what that means to us as parents, like, and children? That's a worry. That's what they've got on their heads. So if you cannot relate to that, what can we do? What can we do? Because they will make you stand in the corner. They'll make you miss your play for that. You know, those are all the things that they will do, you know, and no, I think we need to represent the children that are there and show them that they're not alone.
Okay, we're going to have to wrap this up soon. So I'm going to have us see half the stuff I want to talk about. I didn't even bring up, but that's fine because I really wanted this just to be free talk. I was thinking, okay, you know, we should have really recorded the first part of the conversation when I was putting on the makeup, because that's when we had the real convo, but lesson learned. Now we'll just roll everything from start to finish, then we just make clips of it. I was thinking, okay, if we could talk. So I remember, I don't know if I said it while we were recording or before or pre-recording, when I said we need to think about who we're talking to. We're going to have different audiences. At some point in the conversation, we're going to be talking to Black people. At some point, we're going to be talking to white people. And at some point, we're going to be talking to ourselves as individuals. Yeah. So I want us to think about those three different layers of conversation and think about what would you want to say, or what would you want said? If you're given the mic, what would you want to say? So we're going to first start with Dear White People. So think about what you would want a white person to know about your experience, or what you want to see done, or what you want changed, or how you want to educate them or not educate them. So just have a little thought about what Dear White People, and then we're going to go Dear Black People.
And then Dear Me.
And Dear Me. Are you trying to preempt though? Obviously it's coming there. So Dear White People, Dear Black People, Dear Me. And then we're going to look at, I think, two other things, and then we wrap up.
Yeah. Interesting, because of what you've just saying, and I'm thinking about it, and I work with them daily, and I want them to, as much as I try to educate them myself, I want them to also take the responsibility of educating themselves. Cultural capital awareness is brilliant once you open up your eyes and see the bigger picture. You know, we all want the same things in life, but I also want them to know that their comments hurt. You know, the little sniggering comments. You know, for example, I can say for someone, "Oh, I'm from South London." "Oh, Peckham, you're from Peckham? Isn't that where shooters and whatnot?" And you just look at them, you think, have you actually been to Peckham?
I had to laugh at that.
Have you actually been? Have you seen how beautiful Peckham is? Have you seen how beautiful?
You mean the Peckham that's going to be regentrified? Don't throw me out from that conversation. Sorry, I'm so sorry. I'm going to bring myself back in line. Sorry, how beautiful it is. Sorry.
Regardless of the, you know, those areas that are being regentrified, but the beautifulness inside those areas, that's me. That's where I'm coming from. And the students or whoever, sorry, I'm going back to education. I'm sorry, Steph. The people that you teach come from these areas. We're not born with silver spoons in our mouths, but we want the best. Just understand us. That's all I want. Have that. When you go to Rome, you go learn about Italy and whatnot and blah, blah, blah. Why can't you learn about us? It's not that hard.
Dear White People, I say it in a sentence. Dear White People.
Dear white people, I want you to learn more about us. You take the time to visit Italy. You take the time to visit France and learn about all these European countries. Take the time to understand about Black people, about where we come from. We're all not Africans. We all come from different pockets of the world. Understand that Black is beautiful. We want the best for ourselves and for our future.
Becky, Dear White People.
I think I'm very skeptical on the Dear White People part. Because, I mean, you know, you want them
Dear White People, but I'm skeptical.
Are you thinking about Get Out? Because a part of me was thinking about Get Out.
I can't if you lot get out, you know.
Listen, I am so skeptical on that. Like, I can tell you, I have the number of white friends I have are very countable. Several white acquaintances, but I think I have one white friend, and the reason I have this white friend is because she acknowledges her white privilege, which is very rare. She understands her white privilege. You can have conversations with her about that. But dear white people, I'm very skeptical. I can't speak.
We feel you, go. I get what you're trying to
say. Anyway.
Say it again. Try again.
I can't say that.
Take cold.
I have
cautious.
Yeah.
Oh, struggling.
I don't think that they can fully understand or grasp what we have gone through. Unless they can't, because it's a journey that we have gone through.
And they're not willing to accept it. Sorry,
yes.
About you.
It's true. They don't want, a lot of them don't want to accept it, because if they have to accept it, that means they have to look at themselves in the mirror. So they blame their ancestors.
Mm-hmm.
But
they blame our ancestors.
Yes, it's institutional.
Yes.
Good.
It's in the system. It's unwritten. It goes on. It's a cycle that keeps going on. And it's not only us that needs to stop that cycle, they also need to stop it. So that's my that's my feeling.
Natalie. Dear white people.
Dear white people.
I trust you.
I want you to want for us what you'd want for yourself.
Oh wow. Say that one more time on the mic.
Dear white people.
Oh,
you're frozen. You're frozen cute.
Just kind of, that's it, really. I think
Natalie, it froze out as you said. You
have to say it again,
you know.
Natalie, you have to say it again.
Did I freeze? Did it freeze?
Yes.
I'll stop. So I said, dear white people, I want you to want for us what you want for yourself. Why is it frozen again? No?
Fine, now it's not frozen.
Yeah.
I want you to want for us what you want for yourself. Dear white people, we're human too. Jodie.
I was actually going to say something very similar to that. I was going to say, like, I'll respect us in the same way that you respect your white peers, but that's too similar. So I think I'm just going to say...
You can still say that and the other thing.
Well, I was going to say, dear white people, I don't really have any expectations of you. But what I would like is for you to respect me in the same way that you respect your white peers.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to think about my dear white people. I think my dear white people would be, dear white people, I'm not looking for superiority, but I'm expecting equality and equity. Because I think that's what it is. And when I said earlier about we all have a different expectation. For some people, they want black people to be on top. And I get that. I fully understand. And I'm not totally subscribed. But for me, I do not want reverse racism. I do not want to now become a colonizer. And I can understand some people feel passionate about that. I don't subscribe to it, but I understand why they feel that way. Because when you've been suppressed and when you've been oppressed, at some point you think, so if someone has to be on top, it's going to be me. So I get it. But I think in my utopia, just everyone just being themselves. I don't want to have to tell myself, oh, my child needs to be twice as much or work 10 times harder. I don't want to tell my son, no, you cannot wear a hoodie because you'll be judged. I do not want my son to think that if he's in a group of friends, even if there are no white people there and it's only black boys, he's automatically a gang. That's what I want. I want equity and I want equality.